we'll go ahead and begin our media availabilities with the driver of the number 13 Geico Chevrolet for Germain Racing, Ty Dillon. We'll go ahead and open up for questions. Please raise your hand and we will get a mic over to you. We'll go over here to the right to Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from The Athletic. Hey, what should we expect to see here this weekend with this package? Like, what are you guys thinking when you're going into this race that it's going to look like?
I know unknown is the most commonly used word this year around the sport, but you know, we have a little bit of experience with the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series of what we might see. Obviously, I think the restart's going to be pretty wild, 4, 5, 6 wide, maybe 7, who knows. But after that, I don't know. You know, I think we as a team have a theory in wanting the cars to race really well. I think there's going to be a theory of having a car that runs really fast down the straightaways, but you might have to lift a little more in the corners. Could make up the overall lap time that you need to not be as full throttle in the middle of the corner. So it's a downforce drag question mark, I would say, which a lot of these tracks have. You see guys who qualify good and fall back in the race, and people who qualify bad and race well, and that's the difference in, you know, what they want out of their package, whether they're going full downforce or trying to trim as much drag out of the car as possible. This place is going to be very unique with 3 corners and 3 very long straightaways to what balance of your car really pays off. So I think whoever can kind of adapt through the weekend or chose the right path before they got here is going to show up big.
We'll come right down here to the front.
Zach Sterniolo, Pocono Record. Do you, along those same lines, do you expect to be lifting through the tunnel turn, or is that a corner that teams might try to go flat out?
We're so close to not lifting here with the old package through the tunnel turn, which was ridiculously fast, and I think it's going to be pretty wide open. You can do it in a truck. I'd imagine we could do it with these cars, so I'll let you know after lap 1. But I'm curious to see if we'll lift all the way out in turn 3, and then what turn 1 will be like if we lift all the way out there too. There's a possibility of not coming all the way out of the throttle all the way around here, which makes one minor slip or twist of the car have a huge impact over this long straightaways. If you're wide open through any corner, you're just taking whatever straightaways connect that corner and making them even longer, essentially. So a mess up in turn 1, if you can hold the tunnel turn wide open, gets quadruple magnified down the straightaway. You're just going to keep losing spots and keep losing spots. So the more you're wide open, the more you take corners out of a racetrack.
Are there any additional questions? We'll come over here to the right to Claire.
Can you talk about qualifying? And it's going to be really orchestrated, and it's like 15 seconds apart from the next group. And do you have to kind of get your mind wrapped about how it's expected to be? Because it's a little bit different here.
I had no clue about that. So you guys are ahead of me. I guess when I go in and see Matt, we'll talk about it. But I don't know. Yeah, they keep throwing new qualifying, ways of approaching it at us. I really like the beginning of the year, because I know a lot of people complained about it, but we all had to do the same system, and we were, as a team, we were kind of ahead of it. I felt like as a driver and spotter and crew chief, we had figured out a formula to qualify well, and our qualifying positions were the best they'd ever been with that old style. Now we went back to single car. We haven't been performing as well, but we've also been changing some stuff on our car to try to make sure our performance at 1.5 miles have been better. I think our performance at short tracks and super speedways we're right up there. We're a team that to be talked about week in and week out at those tracks, but obviously we know as a team we have some improvement to make at 1.5 miles. And the more of these bigger tracks that we go to, the more that we're kind of honing into it. I think this year we've been more productive and more consistent, and that's just because of a commitment to a driver, a crew chief, and a sponsor. And commitment means consistency, and we've been able to grow through that. So I guess to take your qualifying question and turn it into a big question, but I don't really know for qualifying. We'll figure it out.
We'll go over here to this first camera to your left.
Eamon Turner with ABC in Harrisburg. This is more of a general question on the sport itself and racing. the number of fans that you see at these races has kind of gone down in recent years, and I know there's been talk about that. But from a racing standpoint, I mean, you obviously want people, you want full stands every Sunday or every race you guys go to. What's your take on being a driver in that atmosphere, and also maybe why that might be?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on it. You know, obviously it seems as if the attendance has gone down, but I go to a lot of different sporting events, and I've been to a lot of different sporting events in the past 3 or 4 years, and it's kind of going down everywhere across the board, not just our sport. I think you look at Charlotte last week for the 600, we had a great attendance. We had an amazing race, and viewership has been up most of the year this year for our sport. As technology grows, we got to do things different. You know, sitting still in stands, it's just not the way that the world's going to keep going. I think the fact that we're taking out stands isn't as bad of a thing as if we can find new ways to bring fans to the track in just a different way. I think we can take out stands and add entertainment decks, you know, change the outlook. I think tracks are doing a good job of adding more motorhome parking for fans. That's the high-end kind of side. But we need the college kids can sit by the track, listen to a concert, and watch the race. We need multiple dimensions of entertainment at our sport. We got to get them here, because once they get here, they love our sport. Our sport's incredible. It's the best live sport there is. So taking out stands doesn't need to be seen as a negative. We just got to find an approach to keep, you know, whether it's standing room or a party deck, or like at Indy where they have, you know, I think it's the pit or something. We need to do that everywhere and not just confine our fans to sitting in the stands, because as a young person myself, and you go to concerts and parties, and people want to move around. They want to be able to see different angles, and it's the way that the mind is kind of growing with a younger age. Is you got to be able to entertain them at multiple levels. So if they can move around to different parts of the track, and it's more of an open atmosphere. I thought now if I were to rebuild a track, I'd build a short track, or, you know, a mile-sized track with no grandstands, but find a way where the track is viewable from all standing sections, and then find ways to, you know, make money in that way. And I am no track promoter, and this is just a dream of a race car driver, but I think we got to continue to find new ways to entertain, and all the tracks are really doing that. Everybody's doing whatever they can within the confinements of contracts and agreements with sponsors and TV. But I think our sport is being very progressive, and we're going to continue to adapt to that.
Oh, there it is. Sorry. And you mentioned finding new ways. Well, interestingly enough, Pocono is kind of a place that's taking that approach with NASCAR next year, adding that second race on the same weekend.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that? Do you think that's a positive for the sport? And what do you think about choosing this venue to do that?
I think it's awesome, and I applaud Pocono. I think this track has always been the first to say, hey, we'll take on something new. And we'll try something new for the sport, and it's worked out. And I think more tracks should be aggressive in approach as far as trying something new. It worked out for Charlotte last year with a Roval. I think that was a great race. I was running this morning. I know we have a road course here. I mean, that's an interesting thought. You know, if we way later on down the road did the triangle, and then we did a road course the next day, and you know how that would play out. I think the mind split that we have right now of how we're going to race 2 days it's just good entertainment. It's good storylines, and I think we just got to keep finding new ways to entertain. Our sport doesn't need to go to the same tracks at the same weekends. I think every year. I think we got to give new opportunities. I know it's a promotion thing, but I think we just got to keep finding new ways and not be afraid to make some mistakes or take risks in developing our sport and growing it.
We'll come back down here to Claire and then over to Bob.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. What you said about the college kids and the decks and all of that was very interesting. Do you feel like as a young driver, that's something you can contribute, even though that's kind of not your area of making those decisions? Because it seems like you have some good thought processes going on there.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. Last year I was on the driver council as a first 3 years in the series driver, and that was an honor to me to be voted in by my peers. And I just tried to add that perspective as much as possible. And I don't know all the contracts, and I don't know all the the exact behind the scenes things, but I'm going to share my opinion. And I think another thing that would be cool for the future of our sport is if we could live stream from inside of every single car. If we had an in-car camera inside of every single car, and each driver could live stream that view from their social account, I think that would be big. It creates that interaction driver to fan instantly. We get back to our phones and we go through and see, and we can answer questions that they might have seen. We could replay it and go back through it with them. I know that's kind of a controversy with the TV or the TV companies, but that's something we got to look forward to, and there's no reason why we shouldn't have in-car cameras in every single car these days, and provide more specific information for the specific fan. You can stream every sport, every minute of every sport on your phone right now, and if we give the more access we give to a younger crowd, the more we're going to attract that younger crowd. I heard something the other day about baseball. I was watching a Braves game, and their target audience is 50 to 60 who watch the actual channel on TV, but on their live streaming app, their target age base is dropped 20 years. It's 40. So streaming on your phone has got to be big. You got to use your platforms the way we can. I'm almost 30. I'm getting close to 30. I'm 27. But the younger the kids everyone gets, the more it's on their phone, or it's AR, VR, and we got to adapt quicker than everybody else and get in these places. We have a sport that we can put people inside the car, and we got to use it. We got to use it to our advantage. We got to use some kind of communication to put a driver communicating to a fan inside the race car during the race. Whether everybody complains about it or not, it's going to take us to another level as far as the future.
We'll go ahead and wrap with Bob.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. Is there anything you can do here this weekend or in July to prepare you for the doubleheader weekend next year? I mean, I know we don't have exactly how everything's going to do, but do you test certain parts or pieces or make quick changes quicker just to see or prepare for what it could be like next year?
I think there might be an amplified focus on, well, I guess not Saturday or Sunday, but today till Sunday, day to day, what the car did from, say, into the practice today till start of the race on Sunday. Just day to day, weather to weather is going to be the biggest thing, and we can probably pick up on rubber, less rubber, more rubber. Those are things that we'll probably overanalyze this time around to try to prepare for next year.
All right. Thanks, Ty.
All right, thanks,
Good luck
guys.
this weekend.